Good morning, Fee. It's so nice to see you today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Pusa. It's nice to see you too.
So let's see. Today is Friday, March 31st. It is about 10 o'clock in the morning, and this is our second of two interviews. We spoke last week about your experiences growing up in the Philippines and then coming to the United States. So for people who are watching this video, a little background about you. Fee Napala is originally from Las Piñas City, Philippines, and now lives in Germantown, Maryland. She's been a student at MC since 2021. Today, she lives with her spouse and children in, where do you live again? Which city? Do you live
Germantown.
in Germantown? Yeah, let me write that down. And works as a clinical technician at Virginia Hospital Center in Arlington.
Mhm.
And you're studying nursing at MC.
Yeah.
And in your spare time, you enjoy dancing and watching documentaries.
Yeah.
So we are really happy to have you back to continue our conversation that we started last week. As a reminder, my name is Heather Bruce Satcham. I teach an ELAP, English Language for Academic Purposes at Montgomery College. And this interview is part of a project called History in the Making, documenting stories of immigrant and refugee students at MC. So to begin, could you tell me again your full name and spell it for me, please?
My name is Pinapala, Phinagpala.
And do I have permission to record this interview?
Sure, yeah.
Before I started recording, you told me something very interesting about your name. Vinapala, you said that it means blessed. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Um Phi, actually Phi is a short um name for the Philippines, and when you combine my name and Pinagpala, it means blessed.
Blessed. And do you feel blessed?
I am.
Can you say
Yeah.
more about that? Why you feel blessed?
um Enjoying um what's here in America that other people in my county, other people, not only in my county, other people in different county, they're not they don't, it's hard for them to get in US. So being here is, I think, less, and at the same time I'm taking this opportunity that I have here in the US, and at the same time I'm helping my family back in my country.
And when you say that you feel blessed for enjoying certain things here in the United States, could you say specifically what it is that you enjoy about living here in Montgomery County, Maryland?
Yeah, I just realized that the opportunity to continue your study,
Mm.
um, it's in here. It's just how you grab it. Um, uh, Especially that in the job I am right now, they're the one who encouraged me to uh go to school to become a nurse. That's another opportunity. Actually, that's the first opportunity. And when I get in a Montgomery College, there I found out that there's a lot of opportunity. You don't have the reason to not to continue studying because there's a lot of support that the school is offering to everyone.
That's
Yeah.
really gratifying to hear. So did you first hear about Montgomery College through your workplace? Were they the ones who told you about it?
No, actually, once they offer you, they encourage you to go to a northern somewhere because it's in Virginia. But then they also cater or allow students to find their own wherever they want to study. And then I have this friend of mine. Um, Her daughter is studying in Montgomery College and taking nursing. So that's where I uh try to um find how to get into the college in Montgomery College. Yeah.
So you first heard about it through this friend or
Yeah.
colleague? I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell me a little bit about when you first heard about Montgomery College and you started the application process? How was that experience for you?
Um at first I consulted counselor
Hmm.
what I'm gonna do because I had my bachelor degree in my country, so uh, I was guided accordingly by a counselor, and that's the good thing about it. There's a lot of stuff that will help you to go through with it. So I just followed whatever they asked me to do, and then I thought at first it was hard, but then if you just do it accordingly, you'll be guided. Yeah.
And when you first applied to the college, you were placed into the ELAB program, and I'm so glad you were because you were my student. But I know that sometimes students have mixed feelings about that. So I'm curious about how you felt when you were told you need to take English classes before you start taking your credit classes. What emotions did that bring up for you?
Okay, so they asked me to take exam course to test my English ability.
Yeah.
So um I came up to I have to start from 970.
Okay. So
So
that's one of the lower levels in our program.
yeah, at first I was disappointed.
I think that's a
Uh,
common.
yeah, and I asked myself if I wanted to um continue that or back out. And aside from it will take too much time for me, I have to pay for it because that's not covered from the hospital that I work in is paying my tuition. So I started 970 and I thought I will and when I reached the 990, that's it. That's a lot of English. So especially when I met my first professor in English writing. Oh my God, we started like how many of us? Like 10. And then we end up, it's just the three of us and then the two of us, uh, as the time goes on, there's students who's backing up, but then
Do you think they were
that's,
backing out because of the workload, because it was stressful, or was
yeah,
it during the pandemic?
yeah, it was pandemic that time. So the people, are trying to get that opportunity that because it's remote, you just have to, go online and everything. Yeah, that's how I started. It was pandemic.
Remotely. Yeah.
So even though it was pandemic, people who because of the workload and yeah, it's different when you know how to speak English. Yes, you know how to speak English, but it's not that it like you have to the comprehension. So not just you're good in speaking, everybody can speak English, but the comprehension is have to be like that's how you have to learn more. Yeah.
So I know you took some academic reading and writing classes. Were those challenging for you?
It is challenging, but I now that I'm taking the prerequisite for nursing courses, I realize, yes, good that I took that before I came in because it's not it's not easy.
So do you
Yeah.
feel like the ELAB classes prepared you for your credit level classes?
Yes, it's really helpful, especially it's not only how you learn the English itself, but then the we're in the world of computers, so the
Oh,
the
the technology.
presentation, yeah, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot.
What would you say was one of the more, I'm setting the timer here because I forgot to do that. What was one of the more challenging experiences? You mentioned using the technology. Was that particularly hard because it was during the pandemic and everything was remote? Was it difficult to learn how to do that?
Yeah, difficult. Sometimes you really have to learn how to access like some books, online books, and you have to use other applications. So yeah, but then
So
yeah, I learned.
well, you did learn. In fact, you
Yeah.
learned so well that you applied for an internship program at the college
Mhm,
called the Digital Storytelling Internship Program.
mhm,
And then what I loved is that you went on to help other students in
mhm,
ELAP learn how to create digital stories. So it's interesting to me when you say, that you were a bit intimidated by the technology, but you got so good at it that you ended up teaching others how
yeah.
to do it. So I would love if you could talk a little bit about your experience in the digital storytelling internship program, what you learned from that, how it helped you. It's not related to nursing, so I'm curious about why you decided to apply and what you learned from that experience.
Um, First and foremost, I cannot say no to the professor who encouraged me to enjoy to join. So that's Professor Heather.
You were a
So
natural storyteller.
yeah, and then um actually I'm not expecting anything because I really don't know about it. But as you said, just present the presentation you presented in the class. Okay, and then um working with these different students in Montgomery College and learning the professionalism, leadership, and working in the community, it's kind of achievement for me because I've learned a lot and how to make a story that has an impact to the other people. Oh, that's really rewarding and unforgettable experience. And to to be in the class because we have this class visit to be right in front of the class, it reminds me of being a teacher, like so that's why I enjoyed the most.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true with your teaching background. Yes, absolutely. Um,
yeah.
that explains why you are so comfortable teaching others, I think.
And may I just add that aside of course we are being given this support like for tuition out of that digital being an intern. It's just it's like realizing that you earn money while you are learning and enjoying, you know that's
Yeah. And earning money because you're helping other students learn. So it's really
Mhm.
beneficial for everyone. It was beneficial for my students, it was beneficial for me, for you. It was
Yeah, right.
I loved when you mentioned that you got to meet a lot of people, other students,
Mhm.
through the internship program. And I think that's one of the most wonderful aspects of Montgomery College, that we have such a diverse, student body. We also have a very diverse faculty. So could you talk a little bit about the friendships that you've made at Montgomery College and other students that you have met and where they're from and what you have learned about their cultures?
Yeah, I met a lot of different students from different countries, and most of the time when we getting to know each other, you'll you'll realize or discover that there are um not differences, but they're the same culture that you, oh, I can believe, yeah, you have that, yeah, you will do this, we celebrate this. And um I remember this particular we are your student Arya is he's from Middle East, and you know in the movie, or where when Middle East is there like tough people, but
The
then
stereotypes.
yeah, stereotyping. But when I met him, when I get to know him, he loves his mom. He's doing this forever. He's trying to finish college so that he can help his. I was like, oh my God, they're just like the same Filipino, thinking about the family. Yeah, it's good to know that we're not different to each other.
So would you say that when you meet students from various backgrounds, students who've immigrated to the United
Yeah.
States, that the common values that you share are related to the focus on the family?
Yes, the family. Yeah. And this there are some that from Africa. I became friends with them. Yeah, we have the same culture, most good culture. Yeah, and the values are the same. Yeah, it's
And
just
of
that
course,
the difference
so
is just
many
how they call it. Yeah.
and of course, so many of our students are speaking English as a second language, so that's a common challenge that you all have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are there any other experiences at Montgomery College that have been particularly meaningful to you that you would like to share?
This the digital story internship are very meaningful to me. Especially now I'm in a level 2 and I'm going to um visit the University of Maryland
Oh,
in
great.
Baltimore um, to present them on how to make a digital storytelling. I'm I'm kind of nervous because it's the university. There's a thinking of people who's studying there are they cannot you know study there if they're not really intelligent people like but then as what our supervisor says that some of the professors from the University of Maryland says they're diverse students and some of them um, they're not really good in computers and they not good or they haven't encountered like doing what we did as making a digital storytelling. Yeah, so that's our purpose of going there.
To
So
help them
that is
learn more about the technology.
yeah, that is so meaningful to me.
You mentioned earlier that you had some stereotypes about people from the Middle East and that you
Yeah.
overcame those stereotypes by getting to know people in your class and in your program. What kind of stereotypes are there about Filipinos in America? Have you faced stereotypes? Do people sometimes stereotype Filipinos?
Yeah. um I have this experience. I was telling about how did I get into um college. I was so proud telling that I have 5 courses that credited that I didn't have to take it. And she said, "How was that?" Because um I had my I had my bachelor degree in my country, so
Mm.
oh, really? It's credited? How come? Where did you study your bachelor degree? In the university in my country. Oh, you have university. I was like, yeah. you know, like it's like because we're in a developing country, we don't have it. They think that we don't have that the university,
People assume that you did not have a university education.
exactly.
That
And
must have been frustrating.
yeah, and there's also one time that um this guy says that I came here to find an American to marry so that I could have residency. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm married. So no,
You're married to
I,
a Filipino. So
yeah,
people have these stereotypes about Filipino women.
yeah, because,
Yeah, that sounds very frustrating.
mm-hmm,
When you
that's
encounter stereotypes like that, how do you respond? What do you use humor? Do you tell stories? Do you ignore it? How do you handle those kinds of situations?
I respond with how they take it as such a joke, or they take it seriously. Like, I'm the one who thought that we don't have university in my country. As I was like, would you like to visit my country? You like the beaches there? And yeah, this how I respond. And just like the guy, I said, oh, sorry, I'm married with a Filipino.
You have an
Yeah,
opportunity to educate people
yeah.
about your culture.
In a simple answer like that, how they'll take it, it's up to them. But I will not shut up my mouth when after stereotype me now. Yeah.
I think one thing that really impresses me about so many of our students is that not only are you taking care of your families here and working and going to school, but many times you're also sending financial support back home. And I find that truly admirable
Mhm.
and am amazed by how so many students can do this. Can you talk a little bit about that responsibility of trying to support family members back home? Do you feel pressure to do that? What are your emotions about this? Like, is it tiring?
At first, yes. That's why I had this um bad relationship in my family back then, because I felt like I'm pressured. Why am the only one supporting this family, while in fact I have my siblings? That's the thinking.
Mm,
Yeah. But then I came to a point that I realized that's why I'm blessed. I, I, I I'm thinking that I'm here because I was chosen to be here to support my family. So why would I, complain? And it's just a matter of how you please yourself, while at the same time enjoying what you're earning, and at the same time give some for your family. But then, yeah, just I'm pleased that I'm studying while I'm working to support. I don't want to give up my working because I have my responsibility. But you see, there's a support from the school, that and that from my work, that I don't have to pay that much for my tuition. So I still have my, the budget is still for my family. I still can, support them while I'm studying.
do you think that people back home don't understand how expensive it is to live here? The cost of living here, the cost of housing? Do they understand how expensive it is to live in the United States?
Um, Honestly, maybe, but um, because every time I eat whatever I want in here, and thinking that they couldn't eat that in there, so I was like, it's okay. Yeah,
Do
it's
you feel a lot
okay.
of pressure, to support your family? Like, does it feel I remember at one point in the class, you had mentioned that you had a big shift in your thinking at one point where at first you felt a little bit resentful, but then you changed your mind and you thought, "This is really what I'm supposed to do." Can you talk a little bit about that change in your thinking?
Yeah, because I in even though I we spend dollars here, that's what they have to realize. We spend dollars here. Although when you send them money, like $100 here is much too much. There's a lot for them to, the exchange rate.
Yeah,
But
it
still,
helps.
they have to realize that we spend dollar we spend dollar here. So um because the life in the Philippines is not it's hard.
Yeah.
They cannot enjoy what I'm enjoying here. It's not the same. So that's what makes me change my attitude, or my relationship towards them. That
One thing that I'm sorry, go ahead, you can finish that, I'm sorry.
yeah, I don't have to you know, count every cents that I'm sending them to them, because the fact that it's not enough, I think, and the fact that they're having difficulty in their own life over there. So it's every time I send them my support, I feel good. What makes you happy? That's it. That's the important. So I feel happy whenever they're not struggling with their, you know, expenses to buy their needs. You know.
Something that I always notice about you in particular, Fee, is that you have a very positive and optimistic outlook. I always remember you smiling in class, a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. And so what I'd like to know is, when you experience stress or difficulties, how do you cope with that? What do you do when you are having challenging experiences? What gives you hope when you feel discouraged? How do you maintain this positive outlook?
Think about when you fail for something. Think about why did you fail? Why? And then like for example, uh I got a bad grade in my first in writing, 970. So I'm so very disappointed that I got a C. And to think that I have my degree in my country, I got a C. You know, where did I go wrong? Why I couldn't understand this? So I go back to all the lessons that we took, and I really try to understand how it works. And then when I need to register to my another reading 980, I think I saw her name, that professor. Oh, I have to I enroll under her class, and we see each other again. And she was so surprised that, hey, Vinny, you improve a lot. So you have to challenge yourself. So that's what makes me like turn myself like not to dwell on the feelings that your failure. I got to get back. I have to get back, and
You
instead,
purposely chose a very challenging professor because you wanted to learn from that experience.
yeah.
Try again. I love that story. I think that's a great lesson for other students. Absolutely. Let's see here. Let me look at my questions. Were there any resources at Montgomery College that were particularly helpful to you as a student? Did you go to the Writing Center, for example?
Yes, I'm a regular visitor.
You're, you're a regular visitor. I love that.
Yeah,
Tell me
yeah.
how the Writing Center helps you.
I have this particular professor that she's my favorite. Like I always look on her schedule. Yeah, and she right to learn your mistakes. You have to read louder so that you hear it like, oh, something is wrong with my sentence. And
You
she,
read your writing out loud.
yeah, she allows me to find where my mistakes are, you know.
Mhm.
And yeah, I enjoyed it. And every time
Do you want to mention her name? Who it is that's helped you so much with your writing?
her first name is Diana. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Diana. Yeah. So every time okay, read out loud. And, oh, this is my, oh yeah, see? Yeah. So it's very helpful. And there are professors that, this is not, this, you have to think, I think this is not related to the prompt. So yeah, I was like, oh my, yeah, you're right. So I redo it.
If you met a new student at MC who had just arrived from another country, what advice would you give that student?
Um, don't give up,
Don't give up.
don't back out. It, I have to share this. I have my um classmate in from Myanmar, and he's really smart. He's really smart. He's young. I'm the oldest in the class, but then I encourage him that sometimes he's having this his doubt that he might be end up like not staying in the US
Mm.
because he's an F1, I think. Yeah. I always give him an inspirational, word that try to choose course that will for you to easily get a job here that will is given in sponsorship like that. And since he doesn't have a car, so I feel bad that he's waiting, especially it's cold. So I always drive him to the what's this, the train station.
Mm.
Yeah, after school. So yeah, you know, although there are different status we have here, although I'm sure of myself that because of our status is, we're sure we're living here, we don't have a problem with that. These other people, aside from their everyday living, they're still worrying if they're going to stay here for long or what. So might as well um help them in a way that make them feeling comfort. You have the people who's listening to them, helping them in a way that it's not big, that you drive them to the train station. No, but the thing is there's someone who's there for them to rely on. Yeah.
I
So
think
yeah.
that's another thing that I really love about Montgomery College students is I see the way you help each other. And I think that's a great example of students
Yeah.
looking out for each other.
And we have this every time we have a scheduled exam, I'm inviting them to let's have this group study, so that sometimes it's easy to understand when um you're explaining it in a language that easy to understand. Then sometimes it's helpful. So yeah.
I think sometimes students say to me that when they were in their home countries, they had this idea about what life would be like in America, the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
When they got here, it was much harder. Life was much harder than they had anticipated. Do you feel that way? Did you feel like you had this idea about the American dream and then there was the reality that was more difficult?
American dream. When you say American dream, it's like um you you have this expensive clothes. You have this life like money.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah,
See in the movies or on TV,
yeah, you're driving a nice car.
fancy car.
But for me, yeah, you can have that. But then for me, the hard thing about being here is being away with the family. That's
Mm.
it. And in my country, you don't have to work. You know, that we have time for ourselves.
That's interesting.
When you step out from your home, your friends is just nearby. and you enjoy time together, but here you work, 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 homework, study, work. Yeah, that's what we're missing. People around you when you needed them most, especially.
I've heard a lot of students say that the focus here is so much on work and there's not enough time to
Yeah.
enjoy being with family or to enjoy being with friends. I've heard a lot of
Yeah,
students say that.
it's difficult to gather friends because most of them are busy, you know. Yeah, in my country, anytime, anywhere. Yeah, no, there's no limitation for the time to have fun. Although we were kind of busy with our family, with kids, we still have this chance of having get together.
Enjoying life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that's something you can keep here a little bit, that idea of making time for family, enjoying life? Do you try to teach that to your kids, that cultural value?
Um, we tried, but like my son is also busy in school, you know, and they when they grown up, they're busy with their friends. Yeah, it's
That
yeah.
happens, yeah. What do you miss the most about the Philippines?
um, every Sunday, we make sure that we're in my we are in my in-laws house, and we play cards. The kids when they were young, it's although sometimes it's chaotic, but it's so, you know, that memories make you laugh and smile because when they were young there's a lot of things going on and they're enjoying, they're playing, and every Sunday we go to church, all of us. And the most memorable is my sister-in-law brought us in different countries to spend vacation. And how many of us were a lot? My brother-in-laws and his family, my uh in-laws, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, and all of us. It's so fun. It's so fun
That
now
does sound very fun.
because now when we got here, and so we visited some places with me and my kids, with my husband and my kids. It's just the four of us. It's
Mm,
just the four of us. It's different, you know.
it is
Yeah,
different.
that's what I'm missing. Now it's just me and my husband because my kids are grown up.
You miss that large extended family.
Yes,
Do you
yes.
do you go back to the Philippines sometimes?
The last time we visited was before the pandemic. It was at 2019.
Do you have plans to go back to
Yeah,
visit?
we have planned.
And can you talk a little bit about your goals for the future? What do you envision in the next like 5 years? How do you see your
Uh,
future developing?
I am a nurse, a certified nurse, and I want to do my profession, my career at the same time enjoying life. I
Mm.
want to do that. Yeah, and actually my future goal is when I'm at the retiring age, I would want to go back to my country and go back teaching, and I want to share what I have learned, the education, the learning. I want to bring it there to share with
You,
them.
you were a history teacher before. Would you want to return to teaching history if you did that? Or would you teach
Yeah,
something different?
different, not history.
Not history. But what would
um,
you want to teach?
because oh yeah, maybe health, or yeah,
Something related to your nursing experience?
yeah, and I want to teach English.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Um, so is there anything else you'd like to add about your experience in the United States or about your experience at Montgomery College? Anything you want to add to our conversation?
Yeah. Montgomery College really have a special part of me because I met this kind professors and helpful professors, Professor Landon and Professor Heather Satrom. Yeah, the Professor Landon she's the first professor that I encountered in my English
Stephanie?
course. Yeah, actually, she is the one who referred me to you. She's
Oh,
when I was looking for, she said, you really want a good professor and the one that will challenge you, choose Heather Satrom. She's
we
good.
we have a
She's
lot of great
it's
professors.
related. Yeah, related. And I get into internship because of Professor Heather Satrom. So I'm really, I feel blessed that I get into Montgomery College and met this professor, helpful professor, and my my schoolmates, other has an influence in me, who had a good relationship with me. Um, I'm so thankful.
And how do you feel about sharing your story today? What emotions are you feeling right now?
I feel I'm able to um, influence other students, other people who wanted to pursue their studies. And by the way, I consider myself old already, but then no, there's no age in, yeah, to continue yours. Even though I know some of you are like, oh, I cannot do that anymore. And so no, there's no age for going back to school. And this is not actually to for you to wanting to earn more, but for your fullness, being in the school again, your functioning, your brain functioning was good. Yeah, so don't give up. Just enjoy it while you're there, and for sure it will you'll get a benefit out of it.
That is a lovely way to conclude. Thank you so much, Fee. I really enjoyed talking with you again today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
taking the time to share your story with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Professor Satram, for
Yes.
choosing me. Yeah, to being part of this.
Thank you.
Thank you.